we saw the new Alex Garland movie Warfare, which is written and directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. And this tells the story of a SEAL team in the Iraq War based on the experiences of Mendoza and his fellow soldiers. There's no setup, there's no boot camp. It just drops you into this story. And it kind of is procedural. The whole thing is about these soldiers taking over a house and doing a stakeout. Like they're watching every move of these sinister characters on the other side of the street. There's a lot of communication to headquarters, reading off of locations, shots from drones ready to drop bombs, and like the silence of looking through a hole with an assault rifle for hours. Then it changes, and it's an all-out battle for survival when there is an attack on their position. And we have DeFaro Woon Tai. He plays Ray Mendoza, who's essentially like the communications guy. We have Cosmo Jarvis as the sniper. Will Poulter is the one in charge of the team. Then there's also Taylor John Smith, Michael Gandolfini, Joseph Quinn. Basically, the whole crew is people you've seen in other things. Then Charles Melton is also in it as a second group's leader who comes in to provide support when things go to hell. And this movie is an experience to watch. It grabs you from the first frame of this like workout video when the guys are getting off in it, like the guys in Jarhead to the one wife's home video. Like from the fact that is like not everything can be like that. They're not always going to be all that rowdy and stuff, but it's a fun way to start the movie. There's a lot of Jarhead in this. But there's also told from the POV of like a Call of Duty video game. But the closest thing is that I've seen is Platoon. It was maybe the closest movie to Platoon I've ever seen. It shows the darkest realities of what it's like to be in a battle situation where nothing is humane, and it shows you what it's like to have to have your brothers back, and your brothers are the only ones that you can rely on. And so when death is staring you all in the face, there's little you can do other than trust your training and trust your skills and go by procedure. It's a blistering movie to watch. It's about 95 minutes long, and it goes through you like a chainsaw through butter. The buildup is brilliant. The action is harrowing, and there's no overarching message that kills the movie's mass appeal or anything. And I know what I was thinking originally going into this movie was like, okay, this is directed by one of the guys who was part of the team. It's like Eastwood's The 1517 to Paris, or it's like Act of Valor or something, but it's not that. There's nothing in it that feels staged or feels like a stunt. Alex Garland's too talented of a filmmaker to make anything of this cliche. He directs it with precision and makes it all feel like you're watching a fly-on-the-wall documentary with some incredible footage. I haven't been completely smacked by a movie like this in a long time. Like the actors are all incredible. My favorite is Cosmo Jarvis, who was also my favorite in The Alto Nights earlier this year. I would love if he blew up and got a starring role here at some point. He's a really cool actor. Will Poulter is also great. He's a commander who's like struggling with to keep his wits and keep his crew together and keep them fighting when there's really like it's complete chaos. And it's a special movie by a filmmaker who may have found his niche after Civil War last year, and now this. More of this, less of Annihilation. That was garbage. This is an amazing movie. 4 stars. The best movie I've seen this year.
Wow. Whoa.
It's a movie about the horse.
That is that's impressive. It's early 4 stars for you, man. That is quite something. And you saw it with Adam, right?
Yes. Yeah. Adam joined me on a Friday evening showtime, and so he was equally into it as I was. So what did you think, Zach?
Yeah, I like the movie too, although I'm afraid to say I didn't like it because I might get banned from this podcast. But no, I don't. I'm not lying. I like the movie too. Thumbs up for me. I'm not as enthusiastic about it as you are, but I also don't think I'm quite into war movies as a genre as much as you are. But this is a pretty impressive movie. I mean, what I like about it is that is really self-contained to this barrack or converted house to shelter that these dudes all find themselves in. I kind of like how they rearrange some of the furniture in it. And I like that the warfare, the title, you think that this movie is going to be some grand spectacle. It really isn't. I mean, it's a very kind of low key, more intimate movie where the warfare literally happens in like a living room. It feels a little bit like Aronofsky's Mother or something like that. Like everybody is invading this house. And then, it was hard for me to kind of decipher who all the characters were. So that left me at a little bit of a gap, I think, to really understanding the characters in like the way that I understood the characters from The Hurt Locker. But this is a different kind of movie too. I mean, it's a movie that's told in real time, and like you said, there's no real backstory, there's no cutaways, so you're only really exposed to what their personalities are like in this high intense situation. I was surprised that really the first 30 minutes of this, maybe, well, it felt like 30 minutes, maybe it wasn't quite that long, but for the first sizable portion of this movie is mostly in silence. And there's a lot of intensity in that. You don't quite know what is happening or what's going to happen. And there's some body language that's used to communicate between the characters. And I think it's a really solid entry into the genre. There's no like corny speeches in the movie, which I really like. There's no gimmicks. There's no thankless characters that are going to die. This is really what warfare in many ways must be like. And I appreciate that the filmmakers took it from the actual record. I would be intrigued to like get the Blu-ray of this sometime to like watch Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. I don't know what the sort of protocol was on set, like who, and they do some kind of interesting behind the scenes footage at the end of the movie, but it seems like, Garland was there to maybe convey the, sort of the technical cinematic aspect of it, but this seems really true to life. And that is what I think is the movie's biggest strength, is that Hollywood deludes war, Hollywood politicizes war. A lot of directors are indulgent. They make their own statement about it. This film is entirely the experience of the soldiers. And I really give the movie props for that. I'm at a pretty high 3 stars on it. I do wish that the movie had gone a little bit into, I know this is outside the purview of the movie, but the family whose house they ransack, basically. I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to know, I think, a little bit more about the mission. And again, it's not really what the movie's agenda was. The movie was to put you there in place for it, not having a lot of backstory to it. But I think more backstory actually would have made me a little bit more emotionally tied to the characters. But as it is, it's a pretty solid movie. It's a very loud movie. I think it's an improvement over Civil War, quite honestly. Although similar decibel levels in this movie as well. And it's a solid entry. If you like war movies, if you're into that genre, this is a must-see.
Yeah, but it's not really like a whole lot. That's why I say it's like Platoon, because Platoon, there's nothing huge about Platoon. It's really about the characters, and it's about one very specific like group of men, of brothers, like fighting together in a really inhumane situation. Yeah, I don't know what else they could have really done, unless you had a scene or something of the people that they were in contact with, like the the commanding officer and whatnot. But I don't think you needed that. I think I think the point is that they don't really know what they're doing either.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And, Platoon, we all love Platoon. It's a great movie. But Platoon was also about a conflict in that unit between, the Tom Berenger character and the Willem Dafoe character. There's not like conflict in this unit as depicted in the movie. There's certainly times when there's like uncertainty and there's some disagreements in it. And there's a guy on the floor screaming louder than like, Tim Roth and Reservoir Dogs, basically, as he's getting shot. And it's pretty graphic and hard to watch. But it makes you just appreciate the total chaos of that environment, and it depicts war in a really unique way. There's so many war movies out there that you might remember the title, you might remember the actors, but there's just nothing else that's memorable about the movie. This movie, I will always remember that the house, the setting that they're in, and to me, it goes on the list of like Fury and Guy Ritchie's The Covenant as one of the better war movies of the last 10 years. And because it's grounded in realism rather than spectacle. Why were there so many blurry pictures at the end? I can't find information about that. Did those people not give the rights to their usage in film?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They were either still active or they didn't want to have their face in it. I don't know. Like, it's not about them. It's about the actual. It was about the brotherhood. It wasn't about any individual. Something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know either.
I don't think there's a lot of information about these men in general. They're SEALs.
That is true. Well, I think this is going to be a movie that will be quad approved, and I'm assuming Adam really liked it too, and Terry, being a huge fan of Band of Brothers, will like it too. It's an unusually good movie for this time of year, and is definitely worth checking out.